assuming the beginning here is the start, like the opening cutscene.
A little. Apparently it's level 3, so I assume there's some sort of mission beforehand. Or level 2, sorry. Or 4.
Why do you look like Keanu Reeves?
You're gonna be okay.
You only get like 5 choices, so I went with Keanu Reeves.
Shit! That explosion took out the command.
Why is the horrifyingly injured person
We got a
taking
job
care
to do.
of?
We're still gonna do it. It's just.
It's fail out, I don't know.
minute.
She's
Should be able to
just
see
that
it
kind
coming
of
up on my right.
I don't know if you know this, but what is the what's the story?
I believe
Why is this world in the
Found out a little
apocalypse?
more about the first
I believe
wave.
there was like
They're
a
all
terrorist
either dead
attack on
or
Black
MIA.
Friday,
So
and
this is up
it
to
was like a
us.
bioterror
That's why we
attack
need
that
to
somebody
get it
did on
together
money.
Right now.
And so it spread around really quickly that way, and that's the whole gist of it. And so things kind of broke down from there.
That explosion was their right in.
The division, which
Okay, clear to land.
you're a part of,
ATF 68.
is
Usually
like
you
some
need
sort of
time to know if you can count on
peacekeeping
someone.
agency.
Well, we're out of time.
Yeah, kind of. You're sort of like, I think you're supposed to be sort of like secret, but not really. I don't know. No one really hides in the division.
Welcome to Hudson Piers. I'm not sure what you're looking to get out of this. Everything behind this gate is a goddamn war zone.
So who's in command here?
Captain Benitez was in charge. He was leading ops in the post office, but we lost contact when he left base this morning. If he's still radio silent by tomorrow, there's talk of pulling out.
No one's pulling out. We're taking this city back.
So I'm assuming because you start off with a couple levels that this is actually either this isn't quite the very first thing, that there's some sort of intro before this, but they're not going to show it to us.
Right, because I mean, it is sort of crazy that we're gonna hold down this fort by just you and that maimed woman and that coward. Oh, good. She needs a stretcher.
So the first thing I'll say is the UI is okay. It takes a bit for me to. It took a while for me to get used to it. It was kind of awkward. Like I would have in the beginning. I think I would have liked a more traditional UI, but the more I played, the more I got it. So you've got like the 15 and the infinite is your pistol ammo in the actual clip, and then the magazine, and then the amount you have overall, which you always have an infinite amount for your small arm.
That's nice.
And then the other two are, I believe, the amount you have in your other two guns. Because you get 3.
I'm getting out the minute I can.
So you've got, like, I'm assuming some sort of automatic weapon. It looks like an M16 or something. And then a sidearm, obviously. And then what's your third weapon?
I believe it's an SMG that's sitting on my hip. Or my thigh. They're all actually shown too. And they're like, if you make customizations to it, it'll show up when it's on your back and all that. So this is like the first player hub you come to, and this is one of the few parts, at least in this video, that'll actually have people in them. The rest of them won't, since I played the whole thing solo.
So this is a little bit more akin to Guild Wars, the original Guild Wars, for those people that have played it, as opposed to, you know, a traditional MMO where you're constantly interacting with other people. This is making use of instances other than in the hubs.
Yeah, pretty much. And so this is all the gear. So yeah, you have 3 weapons, you have weapon mods, you have 3, and then you have 6 pieces of armor, I believe. And the tech tree, which I'm kind of like zooming through, but didn't exactly take time to look through it all.
Now, do you have like a bar, like an action bar, a traditional action bar? Are these mapped to? Were you playing with a controller, I guess, or a keyboard?
Keyboard. It is mapped to Q and E, and that is about all you get. I think you might get a third one later on. The whole skill system is tied to you building up your base, which is a little weird, but kind of neat, I guess.
So now tell me a little bit, and I'm sure we'll see this to some extent. But have you determined, like, is it just you take random missions and then go out and do stuff? Is there an overall storyline that you pursue?
There is a storyline. You only get to do one mission for it, and there are side missions that get you either weapons or weapon parts, blueprints too, and I've done I think 3 overall in here. And then you get just like random encounters that give you money, they give you loot, and they'll usually give you an amount of points or whatever you want to call it, units towards your next upgrade for your base.
I'll be curious to see how much they let side missions and things. That's something that I always really appreciate in the game, when you have either a bonus objective or a side mission that's like, do this task to accomplish this, you know, like collect 17 berries so that your troops are better able to heal themselves, or, you know, something to that extent. It's always really disappointing to me when a game doesn't then follow through and, like, at the very least give you different flavor text for it.
Yeah, what I think I've noticed most of all is that, like, there are some parts where, like, it's not exactly what I remember. So this is me trying to close the door on the cop car, and then climbing on top of it. But, there's a few parts where you'll do something, and it'll remember it, so, like, people will talk to you about it, like the NPCs, and you can go back there later and it'll remember it. And then there are parts where, like, a couple enemies might respawn with, like, a couple baseball bats or something. But, so, I think it's sort of like it's not, like, the one, I like the game Stalker, but the thing I don't like is that it never remembered anything you did, so you constantly have to fight people.
Now, it said that 2 threats were identified. Oh, those must be the red things.
Yeah, they're the red people to my left that I'm not looking at the moment. I thought they were the people up
You
there.
robbing me now?
Ixodor almost committed some sort of incredible war crime.
They actually won't let you shoot innocent people, which I guess is whatever. I don't really need to. And it wouldn't really get you anything.
Whatever.
So, the one thing we're kind of seeing right now is how vertical the game is. It's not completely like that, but I definitely appreciate it as a focus.
Well, it certainly shows that they're at least making some effort to, I guess, capitalize on the fact that this is going to be an urban environment.
Yeah, that's what I'm kind of hoping, is that at some point they'll have, if you've ever seen the movie Dread, or anybody out there who has, I'm kind of hoping secretly that there's something similar to that, where you more or less have to go into like a high-rise building and for whatever reason clear it all out. That would be kind of like a neat instance.
Yeah. This is a little bit reminiscent of Assassin's Creed in some respects, though clearly not as fluid of movement.
And yeah, as you're about to find out, falling is not exactly graceful. There's
I do appreciate that your health automatically recharges. Now, does it recharge to full, or does it recharge only to like some specified point? Which
there are 3 little pips on there, and your health goes to the fullest next pip or whatever.
I see.
And then
Well, that's kind of nice. It's kind of a good compromise between, you know, no health regeneration at all and then like insane health regeneration.
Exactly.
So I can see from a PvP standpoint, I was always incredibly frustrated when you could, you know, get someone killed nearly to death, and then, you know, they manage to duck around a corner and lose you, and then if you find them again, they're back at full health.
So yeah, the floating arrow is obviously like their little way of doing GPS. I think it would have made a little more sense on the floor, but I don't know if that would have worked as well with people.
It's also, well, it's a little bit distracting, I guess, when you can see it, and for me, I think it almost is a little bit hard to see.
There's the one part like where I did the scan the second time, you can definitely see parts where like I have to move the camera to actually see how many threats there are, which is a little weird. But yeah, the car door thing is still in. You can shut car doors, you can shut car hoods, etc. that you can walk up on or whatever. Kind of fun. I know people like that. It's still there.
Now, are there going to be a woman shouting at you in unintelligible language? Are there going to be vehicles in this?
That's a good question. I don't really think there are. It's gonna seem when I'm playing by myself that I could really use one, because there are long periods of time where I'm just sort of running around by myself, and like there's just nothing to do but run down streets. That's mostly related to the fact that I was playing solo. I haven't grouped up with anybody from any missions to see if it changes. I've heard it definitely is. I did an instance.
Dispatch. This is Division Agent
for
Fei Lau, empowered and authorized by executive order.
not the mall. I can't think of what it actually is. But essentially I ran the one instance you could do with other people, and there were in fact more NPCs than you. So.
How are you on my comms?
We've got your back. Just try not to shoot at anyone who's trying to help you. Over.
So you kind of just pick up things as you walk along, either through the radio or whatever.
I suppose that's going to be good for people that don't like, you know, being taken out of the game for cutscenes. I myself prefer cutscenes so that I know that, hey, this is something I need to pay attention to, because a lot of times if you get into a firefight, it becomes virtually impossible to pay attention to the radio, like right now.
Yeah, my one gripe is that, like, I kind of wish you could do, like, the intel stuff. You could play that while walking around, because that's sort of, like, you don't really want to just sit there and do it, but... Now, the one thing I can point out is you can turn off the numbers, which I definitely did, and I enjoyed it a lot more. It's a little weird. I actually stopped shooting that one guy because I thought the blue numbers meant that he was an ally. Which is not true at all.
So Pool is an enemy?
Yep. He is, like, the named enemies are usually people that are going to drop better than average loot. There's another one who will fight when I actually go inside, wherever the mall thing is.
Couple things that I've noticed already. It'd be very nice if, and maybe they do, I just haven't seen it, but if when you shoot at someone, their gear becomes like progressively more damaged, because quite honestly, normal humans being bullet sponges is somewhat laughable.
Yeah. Honestly, I don't think that they'll do that. I think it's just going to be sort of like normal wear and tear and health.
Which really is unfortunate.
I will say it took me a little bit to actually get the hang of combat and all that, so I'm not going to die up until I actually try running the instance by myself. I'm not exactly playing the best tactics I've got yet right now.
Now, you and I, of course, have talked about this off camera, but when you mentioned instance, what do you mean by that?
There is essentially sort of like if you were to run, say, a Flashpoint on Knightfield Republic or anything kind of like similar to that in any other MMO. It's like a very contained instance that you can run with, you know, there's some challenges where you have to kill some dudes. You get through them, maybe there's like an objective or two, and then there's a boss at the end. I will say that the cool thing about the bosses is that they're not necessarily overpowered. More so, they just, you know, you have to figure out essentially how to beat them. So, it's more like they're just sort of, I guess, heavily armored as opposed to, you know, like they're wearing bulletproof stuff, as opposed to being like super crazy. Then again, this is fairly low-leveled stuff, so...
Showing off some of the really neat weapon modding here.
Yeah, it's actually kind of fun. You pick them up from just about wherever. The skins for weapons you can actually get by there are random encounters where you might see one in this one. I haven't really found one in a while since I've played after this, but you can essentially you'll get approached by civilians who are like, I want some dog food, or not really dog food, but canned food, or they'll ask for soda or candy bar or a med kit, and if you give it to them, there's a decent chance they'll drop a skin. And the inventory, I don't really have anything else in there just yet, but you get those from just about everywhere. I've looted some from clothing, like essentially walking into someone's apartment and looting their closet, which seems a little weird for a government agent to do, but we'll ignore that part. And I've gotten them for beating bosses. I've got them from fighting in the dark zone, which is kind of neat, which is where I get my pants that I'm currently wearing now.
Agent, we need our base up and running, and we need to show the people of New York they're getting their city back.
Base.
Our base of operations has potential, but right now it's a piece of shit and we've got no one to staff it. To get this place where it needs to be,
now the beta
we need
only
people who know what they're
has
doing.
one wing, the medical wing, open, which pretty much
Like
means
doctors,
that you can't see
there's
any
a
of the
virologist
other
running a field
skills really,
hospital over at
except for
Madison Square
the
Garden,
first ones
but the whole
on
area
each
is gone to
side.
shit. With her, we can get our medical facilities online. Without her, the JTF commander Benitez is out in the field and he's gone offline. Bring him back. We need him to set up a
And
functional
you get
security
certain
wing, and
perks
it'll
and
do a hell of a
bonuses
lot for
from
morale.
upgrading each of them more. You'll unlock the ability
We've
to
also
change,
got to restore basic services.
and get
We
more
need power and the
abilities,
intel
or
the
you
grid
could
can
alter
give us.
your
They
abilities
had
to
a
sort
guy
of play a
working
very
on that,
specific
but it
way.
sounds like he ran into trouble patching us in. Without him, it's lights out. Isaac can map itself to each of the wings in the base and sync their progress, so we can have a bigger
So generally
picture of
speaking,
what's
what it
happening
seems
here.
like, based off my
And the more
experiences,
stable
is
this
that there'll be
base
like one main
the better
person for
shape
each
the
wing
city
that you
will
have to
be
go
in.
get, and then you kind of
The
build
security
it out
wing
from
needs
there.
some love, and Captain Benitez. The JTF love the guy. He can mobilize them and help us get the
I'm
intel
curious to
and
see to what
firepower
extent
we
they'll let
need to
you
get all these
customize this,
hostiles
or if
off the
it's
streets.
going to be just a linear progression where it's like get, you know, X amount of plague dollars
Nobody's got a
to
better selection.
open up, you know, the next stall, which looks the same as everyone else's stall.
It's definitely the second one, but the order isn't necessarily
love
locked
making
in.
deals.
It's not like a railroad; you can go different directions.
Don't be taking unnecessary risks.
That's
But,
kind of disappointing.
Yeah,
Well,
I was kind of
so
hoping there'd be like more
division
abilities too.
agent, huh?
It's pretty much just the 6 you have,
Now,
and then
don't dwell on all the death
I think
and
actually
carnage
no,
around
12.
you or the fact that so many
Because
have
each,
tried
I think
to do
each of
what
the
you're
3
about
has
to
4
attempt
different
and failed and
abilities.
Died what surely must have been a horrible death. Sure, they have more support than you do now, but so what?
So
Fate's
yeah, you
land
get a
and heart,
mod
there's nothing
vendor,
you can do
a
about that.
armor vendor, and a weapon
They're
vendor,
positive.
and they just sell sort of
Just,
regular PvE
You're
stuff.
glad it's gonna be you out there in the field and not me.
It's
Do they
pretty
have
good.
a skeezy merchant
Okay.
that you have to go to learn things?
No, thankfully. That's the one thing I don't like from the beta, is
medical
that they have a
wing
hard
is a
time
wreck
getting in
right now.
position for things.
Once we get that
They're
virologist
really,
over
really,
here, we
for
can
whatever
build
reason, I
up a
think the
staff,
animation or
investigate
whatever
the origin
is
of the
really
virus,
strict
and
on like
start
where
getting more
the
supplies.
person has to
For
be.
civilians, but
So
for
even
us
when they
as
try to
well.
open fridges, it's really difficult sometimes. It's just really overly precise. Where like I think other games would just do like a reaching
See something
animation,
you like?
and it wouldn't be touching. They seem to be going for sort of like super realistic.
I guess that's no sale.
The rewards claim vendor, I think, is going to play into things like some of the clothing that you can unlock for the Agent Origins, I think, code, or potentially people who who buy the Gold Edition, I think it is, where they get the season pass and
Tech Wing has
apparently some
obviously
rewards.
seen better days. But if you can get Rhodes back
'Cause they
here,
do
he's
apparently have
got a lot of
3
tricks up
DLCs
his
planned.
sleeve. Former PMC, I think. Knows more than you think he does. I suspect he'll be very useful.
But overall, this is just
Hey.
sort of introducing you to it.
Bad
It's nothing
news.
too crazy
I'm not
here.
gonna be able to get out there. Not with my goddamn leg like this. I'll do what I can from here, but it's not the same. You have no idea how much I wanted to be in the field. I trained for a scenario like this my entire life. But it's worse than anything we could have imagined. You know how they won't let you get too close to anyone, so it won't mess you up when you're finally activated? Well, I did that, and it didn't fucking work. I'm attached. These are my people. This is my city. We're taking it back. Oh,
Look, she seems really used
yeah,
to this.
okay.
She is. Yeah, like I really hope there's some
They're
sort of
counting on
interesting
us.
story behind her, because
Let's not let them down.
all I know is she's sort of like the I'm the boss, badass, hardcore lady. And then she kind of like sits in base and tells you what to do, and then you gotta go find her sister as a side mission. So there are restock things every once in a while, usually not outside that I've seen, mostly inside and in instances. They just pretty much top you off on gear. They don't give you anything other than, on ammo. Your stash is where you can store stuff if you have too much, or if you go to the dark zone and you extract out tainted weapons, that's what it's for too. Or tainted anything, you can sell just by name.
Listen up. I spent 6 years in medical school. I don't give a shit what you saw on TV while you were jerking off to soap operas in your mom's basement, but setting a bone isn't pretty. You want your buddy fixed? You get your gun out of my face.
Is that a threat, bitch?
I'm just telling you the truth.
It's pretty much the map that everyone saw before, still in game. It's pretty handy, it's not that distracting, but it does make it, you do have to kind of stop and take a break or whatever while you mess with it. So, I guess I will say, like, it'll pay off if you're in, say, a dark zone and you know where you need to go without them using the map, but for someone like me, it might not be the case. I assume to some degree if you knew the actual locations in New York City, you might be able to do a lot better than other people, but...
We've got a rioter takeover at Madison Square Garden. The JTF
so the tool thing that I just caught is I think every couple hours, every 2 hours, there are like harvesting nodes, I guess you could call them, that you can pick up.
Find her, send her to the
there's no crafting allowed in the game so far, so.
I thought you were one of the good guys.
So Madison Field Hospital is the first instance. And I'm about to do it solo on easy, and it's not that bad. I'm gonna die because I had no idea. I was just messing around and not paying too much attention, but I've since completed it on hard. It's definitely difficult, but it's not too bad. I kind of liked it. I didn't really know what to expect. So obviously the whole shooting system is based off cover. It's a lot like Mass Effect, but I'd say it might be slightly clunkier than Mass Effect. It's not as smooth really because you have to use control for, say, certain actions. So you can't do like in Mass Effect. You can't like hop over things really quickly or run and get up this wall. Those are sort of like different actions. You can set it to parkour mode, but people say it throws you over barriers that you didn't intend to do really. So overall, it's okay. Could be a little smoother, I think.
If you patch me into the security system, I might be able to find Candle's location.
You'll see like a little spacebar symbol pop up. That's where if I want to like run and essentially smash into the wall for cover.
Sure.
I will say there's really not a lot to do in here other than just go to the next room and kill things. It'd be nice if there was like more things to loot or something.
Let's see what I can find.
There's a few things to loot. Nothing really crazy comes out of them.
Candle and her staff are being forced to treat their wounded. That's the only reason they're still alive.
But yeah, so we're trying to find the doctor or whatever for the medical wing. And so we blue screened this computer, and so that's how you hack in, apparently. That was me seeing if the spacebar was actually going to open like a drawer or something and find something, but it wasn't. Instead, I find one of the few bags in here, and I get a flashbang grenade. There's actually a bunch of different types. It's pretty cool. There's tear gas, incendiary, flashbang, smoke grenade, tear gas. And they all have little effects.
It looks like they've got people upstairs.
On hard, the enemies will constantly throw tear gas grenades at you. It's really annoying because it blurs your screen and you can still see it's not that big of a deal, but it's still slightly a pain. So yeah, there's really no reward for, say, like exploration in here. It's pretty linear, so like I said, a lot like Mass Effect and all that, but this is maybe like the sort of like first, say, big encounters, I guess. Just the first 4 people were pretty minor, but this one has like actual waves.
Hostiles detected.
There are, if you see like grenades next to people's names, those are usually people who have grenades, and you can blow them up. That's one of the things I do think they do really well, is there's different enemy types, and they all have sort of weaknesses. So these all guys are just sort of normal. They don't necessarily have any weaknesses other than to everything, but the grenade guys, you can shoot them while they're trying to throw their grenade and it might blow up, or it might fall where they are and kill them. There are enemies with flamethrowers later on that will, you can shoot the flame tanks and they will eventually explode, which is also pretty cool.
Do you know if there is long-range weaponry, like either a rifle or a sniper rifle or something like that?
I believe there are both. I have like a, I don't know if it's a bolt-action rifle, but like it's an M1, I guess, or an M1A. But yeah, there are definitely long-range weapons. It helps if you get mods for them, because it will just make you hip-fire them, or kind of like do the normal zoom-in like I'm doing right here. It'll make you do that until you get certain mods. This is me trying to figure out how to throw grenades, so that's why I kept accidentally picking like special grenades.
Is this where you die? I'm just getting that sense.
No, it's not until the boss.
Scandal and her staff are still upstairs,
like it,
stashed in the kitchen at Kobe's.
So yeah, like I said, even this encounter, if you play on hard, has more difficult enemies, and if you play with more people, it has more enemies. I'd be really eager to kind of see how it looks with 4 people, because it might be pretty fun. I did a run with 3 people, and at least one of us died, but I think he was kind of a noob, to be honest. He was level 4, and at the time both of myself and the other guy were level 7, so we had a bit more practice.
Word is that they've really trashed the place. It would have broken my dad's heart to see it go to hell like this. We used to watch games there together.
So yeah, this is me exploring to see if I can loot more stuff. And I got a backpack.
I think it's better my folks didn't live to see any of this. But then I think about all the people doing their best to keep going. That's who we do this for, Agent.
Is she drunk? Like, what is her... There's just like a stream of consciousness coming from her over the radio.
I think they got her on pain pills finally. This is me struggling to find out how to use elevators. I was actually kind of expecting for just to go up, but it doesn't. You have to push the button.
I will say, my comment regarding that woman is not purely meant to be flippant. I actually really dislike when the backstory or the overarching story of the game seems to be that they are part of some sort of military organization, but then when they're in the middle of an operation,
to get to Kobe's, you'll have to pass by some contaminated areas. There used to be plenty of sick people being treated there before they got shot. So be careful.
So I didn't actually do it here, but I figured it out later. There's a contaminated area where you need a level 2 mask to go into, and you get like an extra piece of loot, which is pretty cool. But I don't think there's any level 2 masks out yet, so can't really do anything about that. I tried to go in there with a level 1 mask, and you eventually just die really quickly.
Let's take what we need and go.
I will say, at a higher level, once you get more abilities, that the game speeds up a bit. You can throw grenades as an ability with the, I believe, security focus.
I do like the indicator that lets you know both where you're going and then how close you are to getting there.
Yeah, you could change the units too. I didn't figure it out until later. You could change it from metric to imperial. Not that it really makes a huge difference, but here's the really funny part that I'm not going to know what's going to happen. But the trigger is, like the actual game terminology trigger, is set for going near that girl. And what I'm about to do is I'm about to go stumble into some enemies. All these doors open up at some point later on if you go near her. And they all come after you. So I think I just spawned it and they start attacking me. Really surprised me. elevator opens up too at this point. Or no, I think I try to go into the door and they come out at that exact moment. I get punched. You can melee in this game too. I haven't really used it, but... AI is kind of obviously a little awkward when they just sort of run past me.
Warning, hostiles detected.
Yeah. Obviously,
I think what their priority is set on is essentially getting out and getting to range where they can shoot you, as opposed to like swarming over you immediately and trying to kill you. So yeah, the ping ability is the first ability on the security tree. Ah, there's the guys coming out of the elevator. And you shoot a grenade? No, I think I shot a propane thing. There's like one or two scattered around there you can blow up, but that was just completely by accident. I will say I'm playing this on probably not the like best settings, but I would say like 4 out of 5.
The escort party's taking heavy
So
fire.
it doesn't look too bad. Could look better.
They can't move until you get up there and take down that gunner.
I don't really complain. I thought it was interesting. There's more than one way up that ladder. You can actually instead you can go up the side if you want to climb the boxes. It might be easier with 4 people.
Agent.
So you might think this room would be good for exploring, but there's actually nothing else in there. It's kind of unfortunate. I think there's actually, sorry, I'll take that back. There's one area where you can get loot again, or you can get more ammo. But it's also, there's going to be another box coming up, so it's kind of pointless. And this is going to be the final encounter with the boss. So this is where I'm going to die.
Alpha Escort, we have an agent on the roof. Has Candle made it to your position?
Affirmative. Senior staff just arrived. As soon as the hostiles
So pretty much trying to get the medical doctor lady or whatever out of here, and there is a guy on the roof across the way who is attacking, and then there's a bunch of these stooges or whatever helping him out, attacking the helicopter. But yeah, there's shotguns, there are SMGs, rifles, heavy machine guns, light machine guns, all kinds of weapons. You have to at least have like 1 pistol and 2 of the larger weapons.
Warning. Additional hostiles incoming.
So the mechanic here that I wasn't picking up on is that the guy who's got the like yellow thing over his health bar, he's the boss, and essentially his whole deal is that he shoots for a while and then he'll take a break to reload. What I found interesting later on is that if you hit him with an incendiary grenade, the ammo on his back starts going off and you can kill him really easily. But you
That's
gotta
kind of a nice little trick.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I thought was cool. You eventually figure out a special way to beat the boss, and it makes it a lot easier. Also point out, if you kill him at any point earlier than I am, you'll essentially just complete it early. Maybe that leaves you with less loot, so it might not be the best idea, but... So say right now, the weapons that can do the most DPS are SMGs. Although that's maybe not true completely across the board, maybe it's really early when I was looking at it, but SMGs definitely had really high damage, and then rifles, like AK-47s and such, were up there too. So this is the part where it's just me versus the boss, and I picked up on what the actual pattern was, but I was not being overly cautious. So I was trying to, kill him, and I'm gonna end up dying soon. I will say the game is a lot of running by when you're solo. It's okay. I don't know if I would say it's completely fun when all you're doing is a lot of running around. Stuff like this is fine. Definitely not boring. But I can also definitely see the appeal with playing with friends. It's definitely not, I would say, not an MMO. It's more sort of like, you know, a 4-player co-op game with MMO bits tacked on, but it's really not the focus at all. I don't really see people playing, say, tons and tons of hours, or just being logged in to be social, although there is a local chat.
I've always really detested mechanics like this.
I think the reason is it takes me a lot less longer now that I know how to beat him, but in the beginning it was just sort of like I just had a really weak weapon I was trying to take him out. And there's where I go down. I will say, notice there's not been too many loading screens, so like when I'm respawning there is. There was one, I think a subtle one, when I was going up the elevator. And there's one when you every time you fast travel, which you don't get to fast travel too often. You can just go to bases. So there's definitely some things I think they can improve. There's an echo system, which we saw in the trailers, where you can sort of like see a crime or something that happened. I think that part would be. It doesn't look very cool. You get essentially little people made out of what looks like dots, against sand, and that's just not like visually appealing. I feel like what they want would have been more interesting is something more akin to Batman Arkham games, where you have like something you can kind of rewind, fast forward, you can see something that goes on. That would be cool. I don't know if it would really fit with like this kind of character being an uber detective like Batman, but that seems more like what they might have wanted to go with.
There definitely is a suspension of disbelief that would go along with Batman, given that this man has taken out an entire army.
Pretty much. But yeah, I'm hoping later ones are a little bit longer. This one's fairly short, and like I said, there's only been the original encounter where there was like 4 or 5 guys. There's that middle encounter with 3 waves. There's the encounter at the bar, and then there's this one, which is not really that much. But if you're doing like casual kind of play style or whatever, I think it's kind of fine. Where you can just like get in, do something, and get out.
Warning. Additional hostiles incoming.
There is some things to notice, like suppression in the game, which will make enemies duck out of cover for an extended amount of time. I've never been sure how to like actually do that intentionally, but I've just noticed it in the game. So it's kind of a cool thing. I assume like if you have say a tank character who might have like a heavy weapon, say like a heavy assault rifle or something, that might be more effective at doing so. And there is a threat and stuff like that in the game. You can put on like suppressors and those will lower it. I'm not sure entirely how to raise it, other than shooting and doing more damage. I'm not sure if you can really gear yourself to do more damage like that, but as you can see, blind fire is definitely in the game, but you can get shot. It's a balancing act, I suppose. There are, later on, once you get better scopes and such, you can actually zoom in and see farther, which is pretty nice. It's not all game like this. And there we go. So you automatically get like a green weapon for beating him. You get 700
Got the medic
medical
safely across.
supplies,
Candle and all
EXP
staff
money.
accounted for. No casualties.
We're off to a good start, agents. Wish I could have had your back out there, but I think
Gas
we make a hell of a
masks
team
are
anyway.
part of the weapons
When you get back
overall.
to the base, we'll talk to Candle.
Or the armor,
we'll see
rather.
what she can do for
You can
us.
pick them up. I'm not terribly sure if they look any different, but like I said before, there are different levels of infection, at least 1 and 2 so far, and so you can do more in them with them. And that's the whole first instance. Kind of fun. You can replay it as much as you want. You can reset it to a higher difficulty. Higher difficulty is no joke. The enemies are a little smarter, or at least they'll have, say, like more grenades that they'll try to distract you with. They're definitely higher level. They definitely have more better stats and such. Now, the one thing we haven't really talked about is Dark Zone. Essentially, the more you increase your inventory, the more you can, more Dark Zone items you can do. I've played it for maybe a couple hours. It's okay. Right now, a lot of people aren't really PvPing. If you're a rogue agent, people will try to kill you, but that's about it. Everyone else is just sort of doing their own thing. PvP is a little awkward. There doesn't really seem to be enough spawns to go around, even though there's not that many people. It's a really small area that you're kind of enclosed into. So what you end up doing is just sort of running around looking for enemies to kill and hoping they drop decent loot and you don't die. I've been shot by one person who decided to go rogue right when we were going to extract, and that's about it. Other than that, I just killed some NPCs for shits and giggles. The stuff that drops, I believe, is for you only, but if somebody kills you, they can still take it. So you could potentially, if you were in a group and decide to backstab everybody, you could get double or triple loot, but you can also be nice and, not do that. And one of the things I did like is inside of each, in front of, like, say, each weapon name, so like right now we're looking at the converted SMG-9, there are different types of qualities in front of that. So other than the sort of general gear qualities that are in every RPG, so green, yellow, purple, green, blue, yellow, purple, and yellow are the tiers here, with yellow being the highest. You have, say, like regular weapons, you have converted weapons, you have police weapons, and then military weapons. And military and police usually have a tendency to have better base stats than the regular ones.
That's kind of neat.